And welcome back to the Saturday Club podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Smith, alongside my brothers in arms, Jerry Drummond, Chris Carpenter. Fellas, how we doing?
Doing good. No
Good, man.
complaints.
Yeah, no complaints. I'm out here in West Texas, so you can't see my background. So it's pretty cool out here, actually.
Yeah, dude, I like that. But yeah, so anyways, we're back. This is it's been long overdue. It's been quite a while. I know we've had some hiccups in the road, but here we are. We're going to talk some ball. I hope you guys are looking forward to all the content we're going to be producing. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So we're going to give kind of a brief overview of why we are deciding to come back and do the pod. So I don't know if Chris or Jerry, y'all want to kind of talk about why you love college football so much and, why you felt like we should do the podcast and bring it back, kind of what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I
Jerry?
guess I'll go first. So obviously, yeah, we brought the podcast back. We kind of had it in college, and then I went on to work in sports at the collegiate level. So I could not have a podcast and talk about some of the things we're going to discuss, such as best bets. I'm really excited to get into that. But yeah, I mean, college football is the best. It makes me emotional just thinking about it. Been going to games my entire life. It's something all three of us have in common, the love we have for the game. And I don't know, I can't really describe it. It truly is the best. Waking up on Saturday with a full slate, it's special. So I'm excited to be back doing the pod with y'all. I think, we've learned a lot, not just in college football in the past 4 years, but how to, take this thing to the moon, which is the goal. And I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, college football always been a passion of ours. When you grow up in the South, you just grow up playing football, watching football, around football. So obviously, we all went to Clemson University, so we've been pretty passionate about not just Clemson, but college football as a whole for a long time. So we're just here for the ride to talk about it, discuss what we love about it, and help y'all make some good picks if that's what you're interested in, or just talk about the game that we love. So, yeah. Welcome to the Saturday Club podcast.
Heck yeah, I love it. Yep, kind of same thing for me. I know me and Jerry have had a few podcasts in the past, and it's fun. I enjoy doing it. I love being able to come on here and talk ball. It's what we're passionate about, and yeah, I'm excited. But yeah, so anyways, Big 12. I know last year was a pretty insane conference. The parity. I know that's what a lot of people are looking forward to this year in the Big 12. We're going to give our preview right here. Maybe if you got any thoughts, general statements we think about going into this season for the Big 12 conference.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the Power Four conferences, there's not nearly as much competition as there is in the Big 12. While there's not the highs that you see in like the SEC, Big 10, the playing field is probably the most level, which in my opinion makes it probably the most exciting conference to watch week over week, just because, like I said, you have Arizona State, you have TCU, you have Kansas State, but it's never really easy to predict. Like there's not a Georgia or an Alabama in the Big 12. Obviously there was Oklahoma and Texas, and they kind of ran it for a long time, but now that they've migrated to the SEC, it's open season every year, which just makes it fun to watch, fun to spectate, and fun to kind of try and make some predictions for who you think is going to be top dog that year.
Yeah, just to echo that, I mean, some of these Big 12 teams don't recruit to the level of other teams you see in the Power 5 or Power 4 now. But you still got some really good quarterbacks, really good teams, and I mean, you look at it on paper, you can probably pick 8 teams to win the league, and then you look at the schedule and you're like, goodness gracious, like there's not like for sure wins in this conference. That's what it feels like to me. And then you get obviously you have the Texas teams, TCU, Baylor, and Texas Tech, and then you add in the Arizona teams. I mean, it's crazy. You add in Utah. I mean, the geographical footprint this conference has is crazy now. So it's cool to see the league still be – I'm not saying it has the respect it did back when OU and Texas were in it, but it still has that national interest now with everyone that they added.
think we lost him.
But Jere, can you hear us? Oh,
He's gone. Well, while we wait for him to rejoin,
Yeah.
what are you excited for in the Big 12 this year, Brandon?
I'm excited to see. I know there is a lot of good quarterbacks in this league. Specifically, you got Josh Hoover at TCU returning. You got Baron Morton at Texas Tech. You got Devin Dampier, obviously transferring into Utah. I think there's Sam Levitt coming back to Arizona State. There's a lot of returners. I'm curious to see, like, none of these programs recruit in a top 15 to 20 caliber. So all these teams are basically, these top teams in the conference are all the same talent-wise. Like, it's just literally when you say anything can happen, anything can happen. Like, it's just I guess I'm curious to see. My most curious thing to see is Texas Tech when it's stupid in the portal. Is all that talent that they brought going to be enough to kind of be that number one team in the conference is what I'm looking for, because they loaded up more so than any other team.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's kind of going back to the question that's been around since the portal became such a staple in college football for Texas Tech is, like, can you really build a year-over-year successful team by dumping whatever resources you have into the portal? I know in the last couple of seasons, we've seen more success from teams that are using the portal strategically and still relying on that high school recruiting base. But it's still going to be very interesting just to see, with how much money they did spend, the talent that they did get, if they're going to be a viable contender. I know the folks in Lubbock would love to see them being one, given all of that they're contributing to the team this year, but still a lot of questions to be answered.
Your thoughts, sir?
Sorry, on my iPad, the computer gave out. Embarrassing, but
Someone say you're an iPad kid. Is that true?
Yes. The show goes on. We're talking about Texas Tech.
Yes.
All right, just to make sure. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, Texas Tech. This is one of those teams I've switched back and forth on this entire offseason. One day I think they could make the playoff. The next day I think they could go 7-5. One of those reasons is Baron Morton, the quarterback. I'm not really sold on him. You got to replace Taj Brooks at running back. Micah Hudson comes back a receiver after transferring to A&M and then back to Texas Tech. But one thing I will say about Tech that I really, really like is their defense. You add Lee Hunter and you add, the kid from Stanford, David Bailey, good player. And then their linebacker core with Rodriguez and Roberts. And then they added Romello Height from Georgia Tech. So I think the talent's there. It's just how quickly can this team mesh. Obviously, they spent a lot thanks to Cody Campbell. But we saw with Colorado, it can be a lightning in a bottle situation for a couple games, and you kind of fizz out. So it is going to be interesting to see. I think Joey McGuire is kind of on the hot seat. I'm not saying he's going to get fired if they don't make the Big 12 championship, but I think that's the expectation for this year.
Yeah, and taking a look at their schedule, like, there's not really much of a buffer to kind of get the things figured out. I mean, they do have two pretty free non-con games, I would say, starting with AR Pine Bluff and Kent State. Then you go to Oregon State, or they're hosting Oregon State, probably can win that game, but then they're right into the thick of it, starting their Big 12 schedule at Utah, going to Houston. Houston probably not going to be what they have been in the last decade, but they are showing some momentum. Then they host Kansas, and then right to Arizona State, and then 2 weeks after that playing Kansas State. So there's no gimme on their schedule when it comes to Big 12 play. They do have some favorable games at home, like they're hosting BYU, hosting Kansas, as I mentioned, but it's not going to be easy to play Kansas State on the road. Same with Arizona State, who are right now the two favorites to win the conference.
Yeah, the game I look at with the most concern, if I was a Texas Tech fan, would be going to Utah.
For sure.
I think that's going to be a low-scoring game. Those are two teams that are built in the trenches pretty well, so I'm excited for that one. But yeah, like, this league is so crazy. The only game I would say they would win handily is maybe UCF. But who knows what UCF's going to be. So this league is still pretty wild.
I totally agree. Do y'all let's kind of go over our tiers for the Big 12. Is that chill?
Yeah,
That's cool.
Right. Let's do it. All right. So for the Big 12, tier 1, we kind of describe this as like our conference championship contenders, who we think has some of the most complete teams in the conference. Whoever wants to start us off with the first team in tier 1.
On mine, I did Baylor / Kansas State, Utah, Iowa State. I really like Baylor's defensive line, and with Ashton Hawkins getting eligibility, Bryson Washington, who had I think he had his last 6 games, 5 of them, he had 100 plus yards. He had 195 against TCU last year. I'm pretty high on Baylor. I think they beat Auburn out of the gate, but it's just you just don't know in this conference. So if I had to put money on 3 teams to win the league, it'd probably be those 4 I just mentioned. That's why I put Baylor / Kansas State. But I really like Utah. I'm really high on Utah.
Fair. I think you got to include Arizona State just based off of their achievements last year. Obviously, you have Sam Levitt returning. I think Kenny Dillingham has them moving in the right direction. It's hard to count on a consistent player in the Big 12 in the state of the league right now. But just given what they were able to show last year towards the tail end of the season, getting a lot of momentum, and then fight Texas tooth and nail in the college football playoff in their first appearance. I think that was very impressive, and I think they'll have a lot of momentum going into the 25 season.
I like that. Yeah. I know y'all touched on Kansas State and Baylor and whatnot. I like Iowa State. The only thing that gives me pause is they got to replace 2 NFL receivers, which for Iowa State, that's a lot of production. It's not like they're Ohio State and they reload every year.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like that they bring back. I think he's a good quarterback, and they got a couple good running backs. I know defensively they had a ton of injuries last year, and they're bringing back most of those guys. So I'd be curious to see how they come back from injury. But again, like we were talking about, just there's not a clear number 1 team. It's just evident, okay, all these teams are about the same caliber. It's just going to be interesting to see who steps up.
Yeah, I think when all these teams are so even, you kind of got to look at quarterback play. So yeah, like what Chris said with Arizona State, I don't know how I forgot them. They were actually in my tier 2. I spent a lot of time losing sleep about this conference. I would still put Sam Levitt as the number 1 quarterback. It's when all things are even, just go to the team with the best quarterback. I like Iowa State. I just haven't seen Matt Campbell tends to have years where it's they kind of build. I haven't seen them that was their best year in school history since 2021. I just need to see if they can do it back-to-back years. But like you said, the right receivers, they added Xavier Townsend from UCF, who was a legend in my dynasty, but didn't really have the production to replace 2 NFL receivers. So I think you're going to see, heavy run game with Hansen and Kanye Uda from Army. So that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to have some questions about Arizona State. There's a lot of assumptions that Sam Levitt's going to just continue to ball out. But when you really take a look at some of the tail end performances for Arizona State, it was really just this Camp Scatabo show. He pulled them back into the jaws of victory in that Texas game, just took over in the second half when they were down and out. So it'll be interesting to see how they backfill the leader of the locker room, which I think it was Camp Scatabo. I think Sam Levitt does have the shoes to fill there. Not that I'm doubtful that he can do it, but I really think Camp Scatabo, if he had some more mainstream media following him in the beginning of the season, would have been in New York last year.
Yeah. I just need to correct myself. Kanye Uda is not on Arizona State. It's Abu Sama. Sorry.
Where is he at? He transferred somewhere.
Uda's on Arizona State, right?
Yeah, Kanye Uda. And then
he's on Arizona State. Sorry.
Yeah. We'll pretend like that didn't happen, but yeah,
we can have that.
I got a question I want to bring up. What do we think about TCU, the Horned Frogs.
I think TCU is going to have a better season than they did last year. Obviously, didn't go the way they wanted to following a college football playoff berth. But I do think that with some better quarterback play with Josh Hoover, it's going to be a better season. But we'll see. Jerry, what do you think?
Yeah. Obviously, I have no bias to TCU. I don't have any connection to TCU, so I can be fairly unbiased here. Man, this is going to be a big year for Sonny Dykes. I'm not even trying to be like hot take. I mean, if you look at the history of TCU, they ran the Mountain West for a long time. They ran the WAC.
Mhm.
And now, like, in my opinion, they are one of the most premier programs in this new look Big 12, being right in DFW. I think there's a lot of pressure with SMU kind of building into a sleeping giant, just 30 minutes down the road in Dallas.
Yeah.
But I do love me some Josh Hoover. I think
Mhm.
he's the best pure passer in the league. If TCU can fix the run defense, which was hard to watch last year, they got a harder schedule than like last year was the year for them to win the league. I think with that schedule, and they kind of folded. Like the game we went to at UCF when they played UCF, that was tough. And then they lost to Houston. I think the schedule is just tough. Like the non-con's hard with UNC and SMU. You got to go to Arizona State on the road.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I would be cautiously optimistic if I was a TCU fan.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. I mean, you're going to figure out both what TCU and UNC are probably from the start when they play each other. But like you said, like there's a lot of pressure on Sonny Dykes that I don't think people really perceive. Not even just with SMU down the street getting some momentum in the ACC, but when you look at the plethora of schools in Texas, you have Texas Tech, you have Texas that are both funneling money into the program that TCU probably isn't to the scale that they are. In fact, I know they're not. So what can we do with that production is a good question to ask as a TCU fan.
Yeah, I will say I know they lose Savion Williams and Josh Beck. I would be a little concerned, but I do like Eric McAllister a lot, and they got this kid from Idaho. I'm blanking on his name.
Manjack?
Manjack, yeah. No, is Manjack? He's not the one from Idaho, is he? I was like Jordan Wright or something.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, don't really matter. It just depends. They couldn't run the ball and they couldn't stop the run last year.
Yeah.
What do you think, B? What do you think?
I mean, kind of what you're saying. I don't really. I know they brought in some transfers on the defensive line. Like you said, kind of stopping the run. I mean, we were at that UCF game. UCF just kind of ground and pounded them the whole second half and came back and won that one, which crazy game, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now I'm curious to see, like, are they still kind of one-dimensional? Because if so, they kind of get bumped down to like tier 3 for me. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, Sonny Dykes is a great head coach. He's been doing it forever, so we'll see if he can make an improvement.
The weird thing about Dykes, one more thing, sorry. He did leave SMU. Granted, he did go to the national championship game, but that's like another storyline. Like, I don't know. It's cool. Like, I think TCU has the potential to play in Arlington. I took them at like plus 850 to win the league.
Yeah.
But it's a hard schedule at Arizona State, at Kansas State. Like, that's tough. But they have a top 3 quarterback in the league, in my opinion. So
I think they're one of several teams in the Big 12 who you could see them playing in Dallas, or you could see them with a coach being either in the hot seat or ending the season like 4-8. I think you also have to include Colorado in that conversation for sure. Kansas in that conversation. Who else do you think?
I mean, you could say basically the entire league.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But there's
outside of maybe Arizona, they're going to be trash.
I think Tech could be in that conversation too. Like,
correct, for sure.
If Tech goes 6-6, I legit think McGuire's gone. And I don't think that's fair to him. But when you have a billionaire Cody Campbell funding your roster and like publicly saying like I'm not for this, but I'll do it to help my team, like my alma mater. Like that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, if you read between the lines of what he has said as a coach, it sounds like they're basically telling McGuire that you better perform, like, or else we'll find the next best person. I mean, logically, that's the next step of like, okay, we can spend all this money on a player. Why can't we spend it on a coach if we can't get it done with our guy right now? So, I mean, it's unfortunate for him as a coach to come into that situation or have that situation come upon him when he got into the job, not necessarily thinking those terms would be there, but it's the reality of the NIL and trust fund era.
Everything runs through Lubbock, isn't that what he said?
Yeah.
He also, I will say, just give McGuire some credit. He was the winningest coach in his first 3 years since Leach, so like he's done good stuff. It's just when you put in that much money to a roster, to a team that, all due respect, hasn't done anything, like nothing. They beat Texas in like 2007. Cool. Like there's going to be a little higher expectations than normal.
Yeah. Absolutely. It just seems to me, looking at this list, like literally between these, let's see, we got 7 teams in Tier 1 and Tier 2. You could interchange any of them. Like,
yeah. I think the only team I had to bump down, I had BYU in my Tier 2. This was before the off the field issues. I bumped them down to Tier 3 with Cincy and Kansas, and even Kansas I think can sneak into Tier 2. They see Daniels to play better, be healthy, but like, you know who I really like, kinda to make a run. They're in my Tier 4 right now, but Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
I would not bet against Mike Gundy.
Yeah, let's get into the dark horse conversation for Big 12.
So wait, all right, never mind. I'll bring that up later.
Yeah, I mean, echoing what you said, I think Oklahoma State is a team to watch. I personally have a future in for them to win the conference. Right now, they are tied with UCF for the farthest odds to win the championship. But when you listen to what Gundy has said in this offseason, it sounds like they just treated the portal like if you just put it in the closet and act like it isn't there, it's not gonna hurt us. But that's just not the reality of college football right now.
Approach.
Yeah, I think he's had a rude awakening last year, which he's had several rude awakenings in his tenure at Oklahoma State. But when you look at it, every time that he's had his back up against the wall, he responds with a successful season. So do I think he can get it done this year? I don't know for sure yet. But when you have plus 5,500 odds, it's kind of hard to doubt a guy who has a track record of responding when the seat's hot.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, Gundy's proven that he can coach a ball club, but now he's got all these experienced guys coming in. Who knows, he might be able to bake that whole cake together and make a run. But team that I think is a dark horse. Oh gosh.
Well, what are we defining dark horse? Like not in Tier 1?
I would say anyone with greater than plus 1,800 odds. So that excludes Iowa State, TCU, Baylor, Texas Tech, Utah, Arizona State, and Kansas State. So,
oh God, I would just.
That's tough.
I like Houston.
Yeah, I like Houston.
I think Connor Wegman, if he plays to his potential, anywhere close to his potential, I think that's a team that could surprise some people. I don't know. Dark horse for me would probably be like if we're doing outside Tier 1, be TCU. But I like Houston. I like West Virginia. I don't think they're going to be good, but Rich Rod is a winner. Like he wins everywhere he goes except Michigan. So I don't know. I like. I don't know. Maybe Arizona still has Safita. Yeah.
I'm selling.
If you can't win with Fafita and McMillan when you're like gifted that roster, I wish they would have followed Fish to Washington. I thought that would have been better. And I think Brent Brennan's gone after this year. That was, to my opinion, I don't want to say a lazy hire because that's like disrespectful to Brent and what he built at San Jose State. I just think there's so many guys they could have got and tried to rebuild that thing. Because like, if Arizona State can do it, why can't Arizona?
Yeah, it's fair.
I mean, I would say BYU, but like I don't know who their quarterback is going to be. Like I know they bring back some pieces on offense: Chase Roberts, LJ Martin. The defense will always be experienced because they have all these guys that are like 25 years old. But I don't know if Retzloff came back, they would 100% be in that tier 2, tier 1. I just don't know who's going to be throwing the ball for them.
Yeah, when you just look at this league, man, God, it's so awesome. But like, who do you all have playing in Arlington? If you had to like write it in pen, like give a prediction.
Chris, you want to go first?
I'm gonna say probably Kansas State. Obviously ASU was in there last year, but I think when you have a guy like Avery Johnson, who's just a large human being who's a dual threat, I think he brings something to the table that some of the defenses will struggle with. He's got a track record of succeeding in the program and succeeding in the Big 12. Obviously, last year wasn't the most successful season for them, but I still think that they'll figure some pieces out that they needed to and probably make it to the Big 12 championship. And the odds do reflect that, as they are currently tied with ASU for being the favorite at plus 550.
I've got Texas Tech. I think all these transfers I think these transfers are going to hit. These are proven ball players in the front seven. I think Baron Morton can take that next step at quarterback. This is kind of like you were saying earlier, this is kind of like, hey, this is the year, man. You spend all this money, like, let's do it. So I mean, I'm gonna ride Texas Tech. We'll see.
I'm gonna hitch my wagon to Kyle Whittingham in Utah. This team was built to win in a loaded Pac-12. They had a down year last year, and I think Devin Dampierre is that guy. I think they're gonna play smash mouth football. I like their tackles. I love their offensive line. We're going to find out quick if they're good enough to compete this year because they got Tech early. But I don't know. I'm drinking the Utah Kool-Aid. I think it'll be them and like Kansas State or Iowa State, maybe Arizona State. I think. But yeah, I'm all in on Utah.
So is that who you think is going to win the conference as well, or?
Yeah, I think Utah wins the league. If when all things are even, I like to look at who has a good or the best defense and who can run the ball. I think Utah's gonna be able to run the ball on anybody, maybe except Texas Tech. I think when you look at all these defensive lines, they're nothing special in the two deep, and maybe except Tech. So I'll take Utah to win the league. I think they play. Now, who they play in Arlington, I don't know. Like, trying to find a winner is hard enough. Trying to find a runner-up is probably even harder. I'll go Utah and Kansas State, probably.
Chris, who you got in the game and who you got winning?
I'll keep Kansas State there, and then I'll throw a semi dark horse. I think I'm going to put Baylor there as well. Not because I think they're the best team necessarily. I just think the Big 12 is so chaotic. If you try to, the two teams that you think are going to make it aren't going to make it. One may, but it's just there's too much parity. I think some of the teams that we're banking on will probably fall off to some point because there's tons of teams in the conference. Some of them have to lose. So I'll go Kansas State and Baylor. And I would say probably Kansas State gets the job done.
I like it. I got Texas Tech versus Kansas State, and I like Texas Tech to win the conference. So we'll see. We all three got different winners. It may not even be who we have in any of our games. It may be freaking TCU, Arizona State. Who knows?
These are valid to change.
Yes, subject to change.
Yes. Yeah. I say we got to put them in concrete come Monday of the week 0. So we have a couple. We'll put out a graphic of all of our picks, but I'm excited. This is probably the league I've done the most. Like any podcast about it, I'll listen to because it's weird. like I thought this league was going to die when OU and Texas left, and maybe from a national spotlight it has, but it's such a fun league to watch.
100%. All right, so I feel like we covered the Big 12 pretty well there. Let's move on to another conference. We got the ACC. The Clemson Tigers won the ACC this past season on a game-winning field goal versus SMU. As y'all saw in the video that I took last night, Clemson definitely the number one team in the ACC by all accounts in the preseason and what have you. But who do y'all think can challenge Clemson? Who are the teams in that tier 2 that we're liking?
I like Georgia Tech a lot.
Yeah.
We'll also find out soon how good Georgia Tech is. Clemson has to go to Atlanta September 13th. I like SMU. I don't know if they can redo what they did last year. And, I mean, I guess you could say Miami, but who cares? But I mean, Miami's Miami, dude. You had Cam Ward and blew a 21-point lead to Syracuse.
Yeah.
Now, if North Carolina somehow puts it all together with Gio Lopez, I don't know. I hate doing it's Clemson and everyone else, but maybe Louisville. I don't know. Wow.
Yeah, I think ACC is kind of under the radar, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased because my team's in the ACC, but when you look at same with the Big 12, some of the quarterbacks that are in there, I think a lot of some really good talent is being looked over. I mean, obviously you have Cade Klubnik out of Clemson, one of the Heisman favorites this year. You have Miami with Carson Beck, who definitely took a step down last year, returning from an injury. But going into last season, it was assumed he was going to be one of the top 5 draft picks and win the Heisman, which is kind of crazy looking back at now. But I still think the talent is probably there for him to lead a semi-successful Miami team. I don't think he's going to be to the level of Cam Ward, but I think he will at least win them some big games. Obviously, Kevin Jennings out of SMU, Miller Moss transferring from the USC to Louisville, Haynes King really put it on Georgia last year, and just throughout the whole season, I think he demonstrated he's a very strong dual-threat quarterback. You have Darian Mensah transferring from Tulane, right, to Duke. Thomas Castellanos, I'm not high on him, but there's some buzz going around there. And then also you have Stephen Jelly from Notre Dame transferring to Syracuse. Didn't see too much, but he did kind of give them some life in the college football playoff when they were down. Was that against Penn State?
Yeah, I think it was Penn State when he had to come in.
Yeah, I mean, Riley Leonard went out. They were kind of falling behind, and then Jelly kind of turned the corner for him in that one drive. Fumbled it, but the momentum did definitely swing. So it's a good league, in my opinion. I don't think it's near to the level of SEC and Big Ten, obviously, but I do think there will be some interesting parity that is being overlooked at this point.
Absolutely. I guess kind of like y'all were saying, I do like Louisville in that they have one of the better running backs in the league. And Jeff Brom always finds a way to scheme it up.
Yeah.
I mean, they've won 9 games each of 9 or more wins. So, I mean,
Carved Clemson last year.
They did.
I think that if I had to pick a team out of that tier 2, it'd be okay, who's the team that's going to play Clemson potentially in the ACC championship? My pick would be Louisville, just because they've kind of proven that they can be in that top tier. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who steps up between those 5 or 6 teams. But do you have any dark horse teams that are maybe
I will
not?
say, I liked what you said about Jeff Brom. If he can scheme it up with Tyler Shuck, he can scheme it up with Miller Moss. I like the Louisville pick. That's good. The only thing I wrote down, I guess, if we want to talk Florida State, is Castellanos good enough to get them to 9 wins? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Even if he was, I don't think they have the talent at receiver. And you just don't know what the state of that locker room is right now. It was monstrous how bad they were last year. To go from an undefeated season, obviously they lost their bowl game, but that's got to be one of the biggest falls from grace. And it was satisfying to watch at the same
It was.
time.
I
Yeah.
like what they did in the portal though with Deuce
Yeah.
Robinson. I like that.
Yeah.
I like Squirrel White, Landon Thomas, a tight end, the freshman last year. I think they got weapons, but I just don't know what the psyche of that team is. You got to open up with Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
That's rough.
I don't know if Castellanos can handle some of the pressure that he's going to be facing from some of the D lines he's going to be playing. Obviously, Alabama is always strong there. Clemson, I think, is just going to shred their offense with a new D coordinator and Tom Allen, and just some really strong pieces with TJ Parker, Peter Woods, obviously, DeMonte Capehart coming back, and then Will Helt coming in from the portal. I think that's by and large the strongest D-line and is really going to put some pressure on their opponents that they do face, whether it be home or away. I think they're a very talented group of young men.
If we're talking about dark horse, I am kind of falling in line, or I'm kind of falling in love with this Pitt Panther team.
Yeah.
I like Eli Holstein. I love Desmond Reed at running back. Dude, you want dark horse? I like Pitt.
Yeah.
I do too. I think they're good.
They don't play Clemson in the regular season. They don't play Miami. Oh, they do. They close with Miami. Sorry. Okay, they got to go to Georgia Tech, but who knows? This is probably a year Dave Doran just pulls a 9-3 season with CJ Bailey. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. No, I kind of what you're saying about Pitt. They brought in some nice transfer pieces. What's this? Why am I blanking on his name? Head coach
Narduzzi.
Narduzzi. Narduzzi will have the defense right. Like y'all saying, Holstein and Reed are back in the backfield. They can make some noise, man. I know what's the Ty and Dan Rubin?
Oh, Solid Verbal.
Verbal. I know they're very high on Pitt. I think I'm going to join the bandwagon as well. I think they could be a team that really surprises this year.
Granted that Clemson team last year wasn't. Made the playoff, but it wasn't. I think this year's Clemson team's about 2 levels better. But Desmond Reed was a problem. It was scary. Thank God for TJ Parker, but I don't know. Again, the ACC outside of Clemson, it could be any of those top 9 teams.
Yeah. I'll go for my dark horse. Definitely a long shot here. I'm not saying by any means that I'm confident in it, but when you look at Syracuse at plus 7,000 odds, that's really far. But you saw what Fran Brown did last year, stringing together a pretty strong season in his first year as the head coach. I don't think Angeli's going to be to the level of who's quarterback last year?
Kyle McCord.
Yeah. Kyle McCord had really great numbers. I don't think Angeli is going to be that guy, but I think Fran Brown's a good leader and can get them some solid wins. Although looking at their schedule, they do play just about everybody that is a threat in the ACC. They play Clemson at Clemson. They play Syracuse. They play SMU, Pitt, UNC, Georgia Tech, Miami. That's a brutal schedule for ACC terms, but I think Fran Brown might be able to edge some of those and maybe get 8-win, 9-win season and track record. That's enough sometimes to win or get to the ACC championship in Charlotte.
I was just looking at NC State's schedule. They open up with East Carolina on a Thursday. I am hyped for that game.
That'll be great.
Dude, that fight last year was sick.
I hope they fight again. We've got
Dude, did you see what Dave Doran said about them?
No, what did he say?
He said he wants to beat the blank out of them.
Dave.
He says a lot of things.
Dave Doran, man. I hope he can have a good year this year. I love seeing him on that sideline, man. Something about him.
I hope he gets a 9-win season so he can just eternally.
I hope he does too. I would love to play NC State in Charlotte.
Signs a lifetime contract.
Keep him there as long as possible. He is a good coach. All jokes aside,
they got throttled in the
like him
portal
as a person, but he develops them.
They lost their entire secondary.
Yeah, they're going to be in trouble, but I like CJ Bailey.
CJ Bailey is a great quarterback. I think his ceiling's pretty high. As a freshman last year, showed a lot of great things when I don't think he was on anyone's radar. Everyone expected it to be the Grayson McCall show, and obviously he went out to a pretty devastating injury, and CJ Bailey stepped up in some moments, not when it mattered. But
I do think them losing Concepcion may be addition by subtraction from what I've read about.
I think so too.
KC's character. Not a knock on the guy, but
is he at A&M? No.
Yeah, he's at A&M. Yeah. I thought his freshman year they did a really good job of using him in the backfield, and he killed Clemson in 23. But then last year, maybe it was.
I think it probably got to his head, or
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't like playing for Dave Doran, but that's just
did they fire Robert and I, or did I leave?
I think he left, but like it was mutual. Like,
yeah,
I liked Robert and I'm not trying to be like trolling. I really did. I liked that hire. I remember texting Brennan's brother Connor about it and telling him I liked it, which was probably that means it's a good hire. I don't necessarily like Dave Doran, but if I recognize a good coaching hire, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with Roper. I've heard he's a lot more up tempo. And all these NC State teams are really good in like 17, 18, 19, that little run they had were like very, very pro style, like Ryan Finley. So, I don't know. I think CJ Bailey's more Ryan Finley-esque than, a mobile. I mean, he can run, but I think he's more of a pure passer. I'll be interested to see what that offense looks like.
Yeah. All right. Let's do lock in who we think is going to be in Charlotte come December. Brennan, you can go first.
I think it's going to be Louisville, Georgia Tech. No, I'm kidding. It's going to be Clemson and my other team. I think just based off of previous history, Louisville. I think they're kind of like the safest bet to make it there. Outside of those other group of teams. I like what Braum has been doing the past couple of years. They return a good amount of experience. I think Miller Moss will be able to come in and run that offense. And, yeah, that's who I got in Charlotte. And I got, obviously, Clemson winning that one.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm going to go probably just the safe bet and say Clemson for sure. And I'll probably go Miami. I'm not high on Carson Beck. However, I do think they have one of the strongest offensive lines in the ACC with what Mario Cristobal is able to recruit. And I think Louisville would be like right behind Miami if I had to make a pick. But given that Louisville does have to play both Miami and Clemson, I think they're probably going to drop at least one of those. And that might exclude them from the race if it comes down to a head-to-head situation. And I think Clemson will win whoever they play against pretty easily. They have by and far the best track record in Charlotte.
Yeah, last time Clemson lost in Charlotte, I was there. It was in 2010. We played South Florida. It was rough. Anyway.
Montague Car Care Bowl?
Yeah, Montague Car Care Bowl. We wore purple pants, white top. Disgusting. Never do that. Anyway. God, I don't know. This Pitt team is talking to me, and I'm going to go Clemson versus Pitt.
Okay. Wow.
Good.
I think I really like Georgia Tech. I like Buster Faulkner. I think he's one of the best offensive coordinators in the nation. I think he's the most underrated. But Haynes King takes a lot of shots. Like, they run him basically into the ground.
Yeah.
I know they did that two-quarterback system, but Haynes King's what gets us going. I just don't know if he can stay healthy the whole year. Louisville, I do like Louisville. I don't think Miami. They got to replace a lot at receiver, and that defense was god awful last year. I mean, it's legit. It's kind of like the Big 12 outside of Clemson, so you can't really go wrong. I think I'll go with Pitt.
Okay. All right.
Well, yeah, that's our little ACC preview. So, whenever the Big 12 and the ACC, our next episode most likely
We can do SEC Big 10.
Yeah, we're gonna do SEC Big Ten. We'll cover those conferences in depth. But yeah, so make sure to stay tuned on the Instagram and TikTok pages. We're going to be dropping more schedule predictions, more videos and content. So please be tuned in for that. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and peace out.
Yeah, send us any questions if you have any. We can do a little mailbag sesh.
Yeah, we have an email, right?
Yes, we do. It is.
Well,
I can pull it up.
Okay, yeah.
It is SaturdayClubPodcast@gmail.com.
Yep. Send it to the email, drop it into TikTok, Instagram, whatever you think, and we'll try and answer it. But thank you guys for listening to our first episode. It's been a good time.
This was fun.
All right.